Hi, Cassandra.
Hi.
It's nice to see you again. It's been how many days now after treatment?
Oh, I don't know. A
Me
week?
too. Yeah, maybe a week.
I think a week, yeah.
Okay, so we are meeting today, and Cassandra kindly sharing with everyone her experience. So if there are people who can relate and be inspired to take this path, yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions. So can you tell me, in your now experience, what is Iboga individually for you?
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I think the big kind of roadblock or the big hill, the big mountain, the big work was to initially come off pharmaceuticals and heavy daily use of marijuana and coffee. I didn't know coffee was going to be a thing, but I just got in there. I felt incredibly, I guess, like my hands were tied because living in Central America and not having access to compounding pharmacies, I just felt like a slave to this medicine once I was on it. And what Iboga did was, in the 2 days of the deepest work where I was in bed and just sleeping a lot and in this like dreamlike state, the way I've explained it to my nearest and dearest is like, it was like being in a womb of sticky maternal energy that just protected me. I'm gonna cry. From any pain. And it was like the softest, safest, just most humane way of coming off of a drug that if I missed a dose even by 6 hours, I would suffer terribly with emotional withdrawal symptoms and electricity shocks, like numbing and tingling through my body. And I just was always scared that I was gonna end up getting MS or some neurological disease because it was so intimidating. And the Iboga was just a wash of peace while I went through the detox. And now, since the detox was done, and it was so funny when you left and you were like, the work is just beginning. I was like, what? What? And what it's doing without the drugs in my body, I'm noticing is I'm processing emotions in a way that I wouldn't have ever been able to, at least, I mean, who knows, but I don't feel I would have been able to face these emotions and these, you know, difficult relationships that were kind of the background noise of like the poison. And that's why I was smoking the weed, and that's why I was taking the antidepressants. I didn't know how to be a safe container for the pain that was coming my way. You know, ending family relationships and toxic relationships and things that were keeping me in this mental illness for so long, of being gaslit and invalidated and nobody seeing me when I wanted them to see me. The Iboga has allowed me to be in my power and allowed me to be my own mother and to protect myself from what scared the shit out of me before, to the point where it broke me. So I'm now symptom-free.
What other psychedelic plants have you taken before?
I've taken plants. Well, LSD comes from a plant.
Mm-hmm.
LSD,
It's synthesized, yeah. Mm-hmm.
psilocybin, salvia, ayahuasca.
So can you, so these are psychedelic plants, they are known.
Yeah.
Can you actually compare into those experience, say that Iboga is also like psychedelic, visionary and all of that, like, you know, what you get usually in ayahuasca, or how is it
Right.
different?
For me, the only psychedelic aspect of it was trails. So it was almost like, you know, when you look at a bubble and the bubble has all of these iridescent kind of colors, purples, pinks, white, golds, but it was all very white and light and not overpowering. It was just, if I moved my hand, there was like this trail of that kind of bubble energy. But I didn't have visuals. It was very somatic, and not so visual. Yeah.
Okay, good. So if anyone will Google Iboga today, they will find information that it's first of all only for drug addiction, but mainly that it's a scary journey, that it's intense, and there are even like lethal results and like very dangerous drug. Can you relate to that?
No.
Is it heavy and hard on the body? Can you say something about that?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, as I've told my dear friends, you know, what I've been doing, the first thing they say when I say I did Iboga is, wow, that must have been really intense. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was shocking because, you know, you came and you didn't tell me much, you know, you kept it very neutral, and I quite like psychedelics, so I wasn't afraid. I was like, cool, you know, I've been doing psychedelics for 30 years almost. It's embarrassing to say, but it was something that I was game for, and it shocked me that it was nothing like the psychedelics that I had done in the past. So it was a very, like I said, it was a maternal womb space, safe. I felt held. And what was the second part you said?
Was it heavy and hard on the body? So can you name certain things that you were actually doing during those 2 days? Like,
oh yeah, no, I slept.
Did you sleep the whole time?
No, I did some art. I did some light reading.
You ate a little bit?
I ate some fruit. Yeah, I was actually pretty hungry, to be honest. Like, I had a fairly good appetite. So I kept, you know, Aaliyah, can you get me something to eat? And, you know, somatically, it was like when I would normally be afraid of the withdrawal of food or coffee or anything that might elicit like this panic in my body. I didn't have the panic. It was peaceful.
So also emotionally, sometimes people like meet their dark spots during ayahuasca and they get like demons or stuff. Anything like that?
No, I was expecting it, to be honest. I was like, oh man, I'm going to meet the deepest parts of myself and, you know, maybe really face the trauma of being abandoned and all of this stuff. And it was nothing like that. It was, the best way I can describe it is like, for me, my want always has been to have my head on my mother's lap while she kind of played with my hair and just, shh, it's okay. And I never got that from a real person, but that's the energy I got with the treatment. Was anytime I got, is it coming back? It was like a shh. It would come up for a second, like a panic or a fear or withdrawal or electricity. It would come up for a second, and it was the energy of it was done for me. I didn't have to do anything. It was just like a gentle wave pushing it aside.
Maybe it was like
it
like
was.
a mother, yeah?
It was. It felt so nurturing.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So can you say a little bit about so the therapies that you have done, diagnosis that you have received, and medication? Like, what did you have before and where it got you?
Yeah, so what was the first one?
Therapies, medications, and diagnosis.
The therapies, I mean, I started therapy when I was 16. And I was put on antidepressants then. And then when I hit my early 20s, I started looking into more alternative, like holistic ways of healing. So I got into different types of yoga and meditation and, you know, done ayahuasca. I did NLP, both as a client and as a practitioner. I've done, oh my Lord, name it, I've done it. Like,
I was on an eternal search for healing. It was constantly about the healing. And, oh, this will be the thing. Oh, it's going to be functional medicine. It's going to be gut health. It's going to be this probiotic. It's going to be this diet. It's going to be this healer or this meditation practice. And I constantly felt like I'm broken. Why is everybody else talking about how these things work for them and it's not working for me? And I didn't carry shame, because being on social media for all these years, I would be like, oh, this is the thing, and I'm doing this thing, and I'm now trained in it, and I'm offering it. And for some people, I would see big shifts in them, and they would be very grateful, and it was wonderful. But for me, I was always on to the next thing, because I didn't yet achieve that level of stability that I was looking for. So it was just this machine that became kind of, looking back, it became kind of like psychosis in a sense, where I was just constantly hungry for the next therapy or the next healing modality.
So can you say that actually now you're somewhere in that place or close to that?
It's uncanny. Like yesterday I was on the bus heading downtown, and I was just having a cry by myself on the bus because, and that has happened several times since we've wrapped up the treatment, because it's different. It's not something that I feel I need to yell at the top of the mountains to tell everybody I've arrived. It's a personal, intimate celebration and it's different than how I thought it would be. Like, I thought it's just quieter. It's more, like the celebration is quieter than I thought it would be. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's intimate. It's mine. You know, it's like, it's just unreal. Yeah.
I can totally relate to that. Like, I can't describe. It's just inside, and it's my own.
It's my own.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And the diagnoses that I've received have ranged from anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, herpes. I had chronic herpes outbreaks for 11 years. Chronic herpes outbreaks. And, you know, again, talking about therapies, like everything was to try to get my nervous system to calm down so I wouldn't have these outbreaks. And, you know, I've thought suicide a million times. And it's amazing to see how shame can just destroy somebody, you know, and their nervous system and their emotional and relational health and everything. So to be in a place right now where I no longer identify with those diagnoses, I see my body as an organism that is responsive. It's not broken. You know, healers in the past, when they would, or medicine people or, you know, educators, they would tell me things about myself, like, you're this, you're that, you're not bipolar, you're not this. And I was like, how the fuck do you know? Like, you don't know what I've been through. And I would own it and protect it, because I was like, don't steer me off my path to healing. Don't take away my power or my desire to heal. But since doing this, and I hear what you're saying now, like when you were like, you're not a mentally ill woman, you're highly sensitive, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I can feel a lot. So looking back at how I identified with those diagnoses, because I didn't understand my organism, I didn't understand what was possible for me to be able to feel, process, release. It just wasn't available to me before. And I mean, I'm still learning. It's only been a week, but yesterday, ending that huge relationship in my life is proof that it's normal to have these waves of deep things that come up. It doesn't mean that, you know, anxiety builds when you can't release it from the body.
So remember we talked a little bit about bipolar. I told you, and also you confirmed that you heard it from other people, that every time I met you, you felt like a very happy, smiling, always like beautiful woman. And I told you even like you don't look like a bipolar or you having like mental, emotional difficulties. And you told me this is what is bipolar. So I think the world doesn't understand. Can you share a little bit about that? What is like bipolar? What it feels like?
Just an inability to regulate my emotions. So I would go from super duper hypervigilant, anxious, anywhere from there to when I was in manic states, insane amounts of energy, lack of sleep, needing to listen to really loud, intense, heavy bass techno, like dance, go, do. And then I would crash. And the crash would last, anywhere from a day, depending on the type of state, like life situation I was in, all the way to months, and the depressive states would be just laying in bed and calling friends and crying and just trying to have somebody understand me and help me.
And then you would suddenly become normal and like...
I'm a pro. Like you live with this level of dysregulation for decades. And plus I did years of TV and media. Like I know how to turn it on. So I knew it was socially unacceptable to show up in a state in a social setting with a certain energy. So I would turn it on and just, I think also our personality still will come through when you see somebody that you like, right? It's hard to be like, hi. I'd be like, hi, yeah, like good to see you. But what people don't understand, I think, about mental illness presentations is that it's multifactorial, it's multidimensional, it is incredibly fragmented. It's not black and white. Mm-hmm. And if you're not in it, most often you don't understand the complexities of how it shows up for people. So a lot of my friends, even just since coming off the treatment, they feel it's a safe space now to share with me. I never thought you were bipolar. I never thought you were crazy. I've never seen you like that as that person. It's almost like if you can imagine in movies and stuff where there's somebody stuck in a fucking glass box underwater and they're like, why can't you see me? Why can't you see me? Like, what the fuck? And why do you see me like that? And it's just the most like bonding thing, and not in a good way. You just feel bound and trapped. And now it's like, oh, I see what you're saying. I'm in my power. It's like the trauma almost fragmented me out of my body, and I was trying to get back in, but I didn't know how to do it. And now I'm back in. It's just like, it's fucking crazy. I don't know how else to describe it.
I think you're doing really well.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
You're a good speaker. All right. You remember you told me before we started, like after Iboga, like somewhere in March, you were planning to come back to Canada and to go to hospital to get like a professional help because you thought you cannot bear by yourself. So is that still in your plan?
No.
Well, okay, what has changed? And
well, I mean, it's still, every day my symptoms are still changing in a good way. So at first I was like, I'm going to go to CAMH, which is the Center of Mental Health and Addiction in Toronto. And they've helped me through the years with different relapses and, symptoms. And I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask for treatment for treatment-resistant depression, whether that's electroconvulsive therapy, which would work on my electrical system to help my body regulate, or ketamine treatment or something of that sort. And I was open to whatever because I just wanted out. Since the treatment, I've realized there's absolutely no need. And it's not like me saying, praise be, I'm healed. It's like you said it really well. You were like, why would a mentally healthy, independent, strong woman go to the hospital? Like, and I feel that now. So then I was like, oh, I'm going to go and get some referrals to some specialists because I feel like I need, gut health imaging and lung imaging and brain imaging. And now I'm like, my gut is quiet. My gut is calm. Like I'm finally getting regular bowel movements back and my lungs are cleansing, like not smoking weed and just being able to breathe without that heaviness. And then I thought, why would somebody go to ask for a specialist appointment? Like what symptoms would they be experiencing that was so debilitating that they would need imaging? Today I haven't been able to eat fermented foods for years. And today I was like, I just have a feeling I'm going to be able to eat kimchi without going into an inflammatory reaction, which can have been really painful. So that I haven't tried that yet, but the point is it's calm. Mm-hmm. And my body doesn't feel like scared thinking about it. So within a week, it's like the hospital is gone, the specialist idea is gone, and now I'm like, I just want to go back to Canada to see my friends. It's not about health at this point.
Yeah, okay. Now 2 last questions. What was the hardest part in the treatment and what was the easiest part?
The hardest part was probably learning to be still. I'm a doer. And I like to, even if I'm not up doing something, I really like to keep my mind activated. So, you and I had a few moments where you were coaching me and teaching me how to respond to that need to be in action when the medicine is in surrendering to that desire and just create the space for peace and stillness and allow the medicine to work. That was the hardest part, but it's funny because now I can just lay in bed and be in my body and experience the feeling of peace and the serenity, the health, the quietness, and it's lovely. The easiest part was detoxing off of incredibly high amounts of drugs. Like, one of my dearest friends is a doctor, and I explained to her what I just went through yesterday. What I just went through. And she said, she specializes in the gut-brain connection, and she said, I just don't understand how your body is already producing the neurotransmitters to regulate you after years of heavy pharmaceutical use. Like, I was above the highest dose of sertraline that you can take, to the point where my psychiatrist was really concerned.
Yeah, 300 milligrams.
300 milligrams a day, yeah. And I felt like I needed more. I was like, we need to layer something else on because this isn't working. So within a matter of a week, it's kind of uncanny for doctors to think, how is this physically possible? Like, how are you okay? I don't have the answer to that on a scientific level. I just know it's happening. Like, I'm well.
Yeah. Okay. So well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so grateful.
I'm shaking, and it's just so...
Yeah, me too somewhere, but I'm trying to hold the phone
I know,
still.
right? And
Yeah.
it's... I think I'm shaking because there's just so much power in what's just happened. And speaking about it there's so much story and history and density and freedom and joy and emotion that my body's like, girl, we can only whoa, shit, I've got to do some Tai Chi and move it.
No more weed, just Tai Chi.
Just Tai Chi.
Gracias, señorita.